Welcome to Monster Energy Cup Series final practice underway from Texas Motor Speedway. It's the second race of the round of 8, and 7 drivers continue to fight for a spot at the championship in Miami, coming off of last week's incredible race, which ended very well for Joey Logano. And right now, Logano is the only one that's secured with a spot in the championship 4 and with an opportunity to win that title. But the other 7 drivers, including the big 3, Kyle Busch, Martin Truex Jr., Kevin Harvick, all fighting for a spot. They have 2 more chances to determine who the championship 4 will be. Alongside Dale Earnhardt Jr., Jeff Burton, Marty Snyder down on pit road and in the garage for this final practice. It is a windy day at Texas, and Kevin Harvick started off this practice very quick, went out for a 23-lap run. He was the fastest on the track as far as averages go for 5, 10, and 15 laps. Now Ricky Stenhouse Jr. has posted the fastest lap of the day. It was on his 15th lap in a 16-lap run.
Yeah, it seems like the track's starting to get a little grip, maybe a little speed. These guys starting to put more and more rubber down, and they start to put on new tires. They're able to run faster lap times, and Martin Truex Jr. up into 3rd. Eric Jones in 5th.
Yeah, this leaderboard's changed significantly over the last 10-15 minutes.
That's the way it is in this last practice, Jeff. And the last practice, there's so much change in the track every single week. The track really has a lot of grip, and as the week goes on, it starts to lose grip and tighten up, rubber up. Really happens a lot in that final practice, so hard for the teams and drivers to stay on top of that and make adjustments.
Let's go down to the garage and Marty.
Rick, we saw the battle last week at Martinsville between Martin Truex Jr. and Joey Logano. Truex and his team come in a fairly good point situation. Don't feel like they certainly have to win in these next 2 races to make it to Miami. In the first practice today, they were struggling a little bit on the 78 car, but they've made it better in this practice session. Car just a little bit too tight for much of that run. Meanwhile, Joey Logano with a 30-lap consecutive run, an impressive run for that 22 team. He's right next door to Martin Truex Jr. So the combatants from last week, they're about 10 feet apart in the garage area. That's always how it happens in NASCAR, isn't it, Rick?
Yes, it is, Marty. You put your competitors right next to each other so they can see everything you're doing.
As we're looking at the points, a lot of people, want to know, hey, why did Joey Logano do that? Like, he got race clean and it didn't get paid back. Well, let's just assume Joey Logano didn't do what he did last week and they finished 1st and 2nd with Truex winning. The situation is that Logano would have come in here 4th in points, which means he's above the cut line, but only by 11 points. So with 2 races to go, he still would have a tremendous amount of work to do. By moving him out of the way, that put him to Miami with a shot to win a championship. So that's quite simply why he did what he did, a chance to win a championship. This system, we knew when this system got enacted that it was going to push people's values and push people's morals, and the what was acceptable and wasn't acceptable was going to change compared to the way it used to be over a 36, 38 race season. That's what we saw in Martinsville.
A lot of the talk this weekend has been about this track and how it's not your typical mile-and-a-half track. It's the fastest mile-and-a-half track that is run, but it's different at both ends now, and we'll talk about 1 and 2 specifically. That's where the big changes took place.
Yeah, they lowered the banking from 24 to 20, and you see that happening there. And the way they did that was move that inside apron toward the inside wall from 58 to 78 feet. And that dropped that banking down, made that corner much wider, made the entry a real challenge for these drivers. You can hear it in the in-car cameras as we watch them practice. Way out of the throttle getting down into turn 1. Not a lot of grip. When you take the banking out of the racetrack, grip goes away. We'll take a look at the difference in turn 1 and 2 versus turn 3 and 4. As you watch Kyle Busch down into turn 3.
Yeah, slows down to 165 miles an hour in turns 1 and 2, but they only slow down to 186 miles an hour in 3 and 4.
So both ends of the racetrack are extremely different, and that makes it challenging for the guys to get the cars to handle well at both ends. Drivers really, I think, may focus on turn 1 and 2. If you don't get through there, it kind of ruins the rest of the lap. You just never will regain that speed. And so they're all going to want to work on the balance of their car in turn 1 and 2, talk to their crew chiefs, help me, through the middle of 1 and 2, end of 1 and 2. Talked to Ryan Blaney in first practice. He said the car was super loose on each end of 1, tight through the center. Heard a lot of guys talking about not being able to turn through the middle. I'm sure as this practice goes on toward the end of the third and final practice, they're all going to be working on trying to get these cars to turn as the track tightens up.
You know, one of the racetracks we talk about, every end of the racetrack being different from one another is Pocono. Like, that's always been the thing about Pocono, is that turn 1 is completely different than the tunnel, and 3 is different than, they're all different. Well, I don't think that even comes close to the difference of this racetrack. And you're going to have to pick which end of the racetrack you want to really focus on, and I think it has to be 1 and 2. I agree with you 100%. The place where the car drives the worst creates the most opportunity for gain and creates the most opportunity to really be bad in. So you have to focus on that end of the racetrack. And here, it's at 1 and 2. Just so flat compared to 3 and 4.
And Jeff, we've talked about non-playoff drivers who may show up in victory lane. Ryan Blaney, well, won the pole at over 200 miles an hour, but they have really struggled in race trim, especially when they're around other cars. Car just way too tight for Ryan Blaney, and they really haven't gotten that fixed in this practice session. Also, Chase Elliott, one of the playoff drivers that we were talking about and that a little concerned about in that first practice session. Their car not very good. They've made improvements on the 9 car, and he is going to be an interesting study along with Clint Boyer. They both just went out on sticker tires, and really it's an interesting phenomenon, Jeff, because crew chief's telling me you're actually slower when you put on new tires. Those scuff tires worth a little bit of extra time, so the 9 on sticker tires right now.
Well, Junior, you and I have both done this. You want scuffs up the racetrack, Chase Elliott. You want scuffs because they feel better, but you don't get them tomorrow.
Nope.
When you come in tomorrow, they're going to put stickers on, and you're going to have to fire off on stickers. And yes, you may stay out when the caution comes out to stay on those set of tires, but at some point, you're going to start on stickers, and you have to restart. You have to make it work. So it's important to know what the car will and won't do when you put those stickers on.
Yeah, you're going to have a little more travel in a sticker tire versus a scuff tire. There'll be a little more travel, and that's critical because these cars are already way down on the ground. They get the splitter as close to the ground as they can. You see the cars there's a lot of bumps on this racetrack in turn 3 and 4. And so when you put those stickers on, you got to make sure the car's going to clear the racetrack in the race tomorrow.
So we've been talking about Kevin Harvick, how he's the leader. Well, he's not anymore. The 18 car is the leader on the 15-lap average, but Kevin's been a leader in average speed. Well, here's a line graph I want to show you. So as we move along, this is the number of laps that are run this way. And then the lower on this graph, the faster you are. Well, look at Kevin Harvick. He's in red. So look how the run goes on. His numbers actually go down. Blaney's goes up. So that's why Kevin Harvick's going to be hard to beat here on Sunday, because look at how consistent the speed is. He doesn't take off that fast. You see Blaney's quicker taking off, but 6, 7, 8 laps later, it flips. And Kevin Harvick then gets much faster and is able to stay much faster. That's been the magic of the 4-car on these 1.5 miles. That's just where they've been so hard to beat, is that they take off fast, they stay fast, and that's been and will be on Sunday why Kevin Harvick will be the favorite coming into this race.
Yeah, I would add that he's had that magic everywhere, particularly in Phoenix. Going to next week as well, which is going to be an important race for those guys.
See on the side of the cars, the Peacock for NBC. And just letting you know that there is a sweepstakes out there that you can be a part of the championship in Miami. And not only can you get a couple tickets to the race, but also you have the possibility of winning that side panel that could be signed by some of the NBC Sports NASCAR on NBC personalities. So make sure to join NBCSports.com/NASCAR sweeps. NASCAR on NBCSN is brought to you by Monster Energy. Unleash the beast. And under 7 minutes to go in final practice for the Monster Energy Cup Series. Last week's winner, Joey Logano, back out on track for a lap. Joey Logano, 18th quickest, and he's still looking for momentum. Nothing will happen as far as points. If he wins the race, all he does is eliminate the possibility of someone else getting that win. Marty?
Hey, Rick, I think this is really shaping up to be a heavyweight battle tomorrow here at Texas Motor Speedway. Kevin Harvick and his race team done, and about 30 seconds after they claimed they were done with practice, Kyle Busch and his team said, we're done with practice. And these teams, Jeff, it's amazing to me, they're making minute changes. Kevin Harvick's team just making such small refinements to their setup. Both of these cars, excellent. And I think you put that line graph up, the 4 and the 18 probably be the two best cars for tomorrow's race.
Yeah, if you look at the 5-lap average, the 4 and the 18 at the top. 10-lap average, 4, 18. 15-lap average, 18, 4.
Heavyweight battle?
Those two battled it out here in April. I think we're going to see the same thing again.
And with the point system the way it is now, you know, if one of them can't win, they're pulling for the other.
Yeah.
They don't want to see somebody outside of that top 4 win. We would put the line graph up, Marty, but I'd have to draw on it. And that didn't work out well so
That's
far.
dangerous.
So we're going to just leave that alone.
We've struggled with the drawing on the telestrator today.
You know, Steve is he's our artist in the group, and Junior and I do our best to make him look good when we use the telestrator.
Yeah, the other driver of the big three that we've talked about literally all season long, Martin Truex Jr., he is not in the top 5 of 5-lap averages, not in the top 5 of 10-lap averages, not in the top 5 of 15-lap averages. He's 6th in the best overall. And he's off a little bit, off of that 4, off of that 18. But if he wants someone to win, Jeff, we've been talking about that, and you've been seeing it. He wants either Kyle Busch or Kevin Harvick to win.
No doubt.
He doesn't want someone below the cut line to win. A guy like Eric Almirola, who was really good in the first practice.
Yeah, Eric Almirola had the fastest lap in the first practice, but also pretty good overall.
I was down there in the garage with those guys a lot, and they had some swagger, man. They were real happy with the car, talking their driver up, weren't making a lot of changes, real happy with how things were going for him. All of them kept saying, hey, we give him what he needs, he can do it. They got a lot of confidence in him.
Eric Almirola does have a shot. The 34-year-old from Tampa, Florida, a part of, again, Stewart-Haas Racing, the 4 drivers that have made it to this round of 8. He's a grandson of a Cuban dirt sprint car racer. Sam Rodriguez began racing go-karts when he was just 8 years old. Moved up to modifieds and late models as a teenager, and then was able to get his first win this year and 14 top 10s already this season with Stewart-Haas Racing. Did have that one win with Richard Petty Motorsports, the rain-shortened race at Daytona. But his first win was Stewart-Haas Racing coming this year. And the transition that he made from Richard Petty Motorsports over to Stewart-Haas Racing, thought it was a great opportunity. It's paid off. He's made it all the way to the semifinal round of the playoffs at the biggest level of motorsports.
Toughest part about it this whole season as a broadcaster has been trying to figure out what kind of team this number 10 car is, because we can't go back in the last several years with Eric's career statistics and say, okay, he's been great at this track or good that he's not got great statistics in his body of work so far. But this year he's really been overachieving, surprising, winning. But still today, I don't know if we really know where to place him in this battle. Is he an underdog? Is he really one of the guys? Because his team down there, they all talk like, hey, if we can go to Homestead, we can win Homestead. They really believe that.
Yeah, I think I called him at the beginning of playoffs. I said he could be the sleeper.
Yeah.
And you kind of tagged them with different names. Don't you, Marty?
Yes, you do, Rick, and he could certainly be a sleeper. You asked about the other of the big three, Martin Truex Jr., and asked the team how the car was. They haven't been able to really get this racetrack connected, guys. Like, they've made 1 and 2 much better. They feel like they're much better through there, but they're struggling through 3 and 4, too tight through 3 and 4. And if it's any indication, both Kevin Harvick and Kyle Busch, we talked about it, quit a little early in this practice. Martin Truex Jr. just now pulled in with 3 minutes left and said, do we have time for another run? He had something else he wanted to try. Cole Pearn said, nope, we don't have time to try anything else. So they're going to call it quits here for the 78 team. They're good, but not nearly as good as the 4 and the 18.
Yeah, I think after last week's run at Martinsville, I know they didn't win, but Martin Truex Jr. never won a short track, certainly in contention to win last week. They came into here to a place that's their home place, 1.5 miles where they've run so well. You have to know that they're a little frustrated that they don't have the pace that the 18 and the 4 have. But these two guys right here, they've proven that they're good enough to figure it out, to get their car where it needs to be for tomorrow.
We had the pleasure earlier on the sports app to have the newly inducted into the Texas Motorsports Hall of Fame, Carl Edwards, join us. He was with Marty on top of the Peacock pit box, and Marty asked him how tough was it to walk away from the sport. Here's his answer.
How hard has it been just to walk away? Because you told me you had to break clean. How hard has that part been?
That's very hard for me because it's, I mean, all of us here, we've all given our lives to racing. And so, you know, but for me, I know myself. I know if I come here and I hang around or I watch, I'm done. I'm back in. So, you know, for me at that time, for Coach Gibbs to say, hey, look, I understand what you're doing. You feel like this is the best for you in your life. And to give me that opportunity, it's been golden. And who knows, someday maybe I'll be back in both feet. And if I do, I guarantee it'll be 100%.
So there's a bunch of drivers, when Carl Edwards walks to the garage, they start looking over their shoulder.
Yeah.
Because Carl Edwards, an immense amount of talent and, you know, fully committed, fully in. And if he said, I'm ready, there would be a seat that would open up for him.
Well, and it was interesting, Junior, you asked him while he was up there on the Peacock pit box, as we see the red and black flags displayed, that ends final practice. But you asked Carl, you know, what have you been doing? Because you're not on social media and you're not, you know, you don't publicly let people know what you're doing. You know, what have you been doing over the past 2 years?
Yeah, I did. I think that a lot of people miss seeing Carl. He has a lot of fans that miss seeing him on the racetrack, and he's not a person he's very private. He's not a person that shares a whole lot of what he has going on, but he did tell us that he's sailed across the Atlantic twice.
Yeah.
He's rode bikes and mountain bikes overseas and signed up for some sort of a mountain bike race that he's sort of regretting now. But, you know, the guy, he's a great guy, and I've been in communication with him since his retirement, just to be curious is about, you know, how he's doing stepping away so abruptly, because it was a very abrupt decision.
Yeah.
Seems to be doing great.
Ryan Blaney won the pole on Friday, and Ryan Blaney, you see him right in the middle of the screen there. As far as best average speed, Ricky Stenhouse Jr. had the best average. Final practice complete. That means the next time that the Monster Energy Cup Series drivers will be on track will be tomorrow when the green flag flies for the race here at Texas, the fastest 1.5 mile track. And I think once again we have seen that part of the big three, Kevin and Kyle, when they come to this racetrack, they are exceptional.
Well, you think way back in April, they sort of dominated the end of this race, and things have changed. I mean, these teams, all the teams in the garage have found some things in their chassis and downforce and all that good stuff, power in the engines, that maybe we'd have some different players, but it looks like the 4 and 18 all over again for this weekend.
Question I've got for them, though, is that they've had good speed throughout the playoffs, but they haven't been able to capitalize. They haven't looked like the closers that we came accustomed to seeing them in the regular season. They're going to have to figure it out, because even if they move to Miami with a chance to win a championship, you've seen that you're going to have to win that race if you're going to win the championship. So with two fast race cars, this is a chance for one of them to close the deal and build some momentum going into Miami.
At this time of the year, when we mention the word spoiler, it's somebody outside of the playoffs that could potentially win a race. And I think, Marty, you've got probably the biggest spoiler here at Texas.
Well, he would love to play the role of spoiler. He was certainly fastest for one lap yesterday. How much of a different challenge is race trim at Texas, Ryan Blaney?
It's a big difference. You know, we're going so fast in Q trim, and speeds have slowed down a lot today, especially in the sun and just the way your car's set up. So I thought we got a lot better in happy hour, which was good. We struggled to practice this morning, but we made some really good changes. But nice to have Carlisle, Excella with us, and we lost a member of Team Penske earlier this week, Dwayne Felkel, and I just want to say our thoughts are with his family. You know, he was a body guy, and you know, he had a lot of friends over there, so that's tough. But hopefully we can bring one home for him tomorrow. So.
An unexpected loss for Team Penske. Certainly a lot to fight for tomorrow for Ryan Blaney and his team, guys.
Yeah, one of their fabricators, and I know Joey Logano also had recognized that team member lost too soon. So Ryan Blaney, another one of the drivers that's hoping that he can play that role of spoiler when he comes here to this racetrack. He's not a part of the playoffs any longer. He was a part of the playoffs. But he showed the best speed. He won the pole yesterday in qualifying. So are we going to see incredible speeds again during the race when they're fighting for position?
Well, he won the pole at 200 miles an hour, but they're not running that fast now.
Yeah, 191. He went 191 in practice, 200 in qualifying.
By the end of practice, they had dropped off all the way to 186, 187 miles an hour, and that's what he means when it's a big difference. You load the car completely different when you go in the corner at 200 mile an hour versus 186 miles an hour. So that's why the race setup and the qualifying setup are going to be completely different.
Is that tires? Is that what's happening now?
Well, tires, and you don't get tape on the grill, and the track's hotter, and there's more rubber on the racetrack. All that stuff adds up, and then tomorrow there's more cars on the racetrack. So the car in the track gets hotter tomorrow. So the cars never drive as well in the race as they do in practice. So that speed we saw today, we won't see tomorrow. They'll never get close to that, and it just makes the car harder and harder to drive as the speed comes out of it.
And tomorrow is the second race of this round of 8, the second opportunity to lock yourselves in to the championship in Miami. Coming up next, Xfinity Series countdown to green. Then Xfinity Series racing from right here, Texas Motor Speedway at 4:30, 7 o'clock post-race coverage, followed by Ohio State at Notre Dame. That's college hockey.